Derek, Manuel, great to have you both on InvestorStream to chat through the latest around Anteo's battery space. Derek, if I can address you first, can you give listeners an indication of the significance of the latest battery update and how much closer does this take you towards commercialisation?
Thanks to have us again, Alex, and good to see you. Yeah, look, it's really good progression for us. Listeners and investors would be aware that some time ago we put in a strategy of increasing the number of collaborators that we are dealing with, and we've got 9 collaborators that we've been dealing with, and this is a great work with those 3 or 4 collaborators that we've been dealing with AnteoX, and one of them in particular, Collaborator 8, has had very good results that duplicate what we have had in our hands. And that has led to a commercialisation path with that particular collaborator, and so we're thrilled with the progression that we've made, and it's really accelerated our potential to make revenues from AnteoX in the shorter term.
Thanks, Derek. Now, Manuel, you released the results of the Energy Collaborator Program last week, and I understand the results from this program were very impressive. In your view, why are these so significant? And now that these are banked, what's the next step for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, as Derek already mentioned, we follow the partner strategy, and as part of that, we send out a range of AnteoX samples or cross-link additive samples to companies that we believe, in combination with our material and their materials, would achieve a substantial improvement in performance for their anode compositions and configurations. And Collaborator 8 was one of these companies. And them being a Northern Asian company, they focus heavily on silicon oxide and blending with graphite, which is good for us because silicon oxide is already used in the industry, although it's small amounts. So they use a relatively large amount of silicon oxide in their anode composition, and in pairing this with our AnteoX crosslink additive, they achieved a substantial boost in capacity. So they are able to much more effectively utilize the silicon-containing component in the anode, which is desirable from an industry perspective. So they were quite excited about the results, and they're now packaging up the data and information to present and provide to one of their customers, which would be an end user for both their proprietary binder system as well as our AnteoX crosslinker. So what we expect will happen next is that this customer will evaluate the combination of materials, and subject to a positive outcome, which we would expect, this would lead, or we expect would lead to an initial adoption of both the bind and our AnteoX from an industry perspective, and as Derek mentioned, an initial stream of revenue. So this package is of work we expect will continue to be carried out throughout 2021.
Okay, Manuel, so broadly speaking, what are the implications of what you've discovered here, and what does it mean for the battery development as a whole?
Yes, so we have now gathered a lot of data on our crosslink additive with a range of different silicon-containing active materials and anodes. And so far, this was largely done in half cells. What we're doing now internally, as well as with our partners, not just the ones that we have already, but also the ones we're planning to acquire in the future, is we're more heavily focused on transitioning these results to full cells, which will provide a much more direct use case for the industry. And what we're doing with the partners that we already have, we're working on how can we more effectively utilize their silicon or the anode composition that they already have. And we believe that for some of the companies we're talking to or working with, they're not effectively utilizing the active materials or as well as they could be. And for some, this may mean transitioning to a higher energy cell design enabled by our crosslink additive, which again is very attractive from an industry perspective. And for others, this may mean just tweaking the anode design to make the anode perform more effectively. So ultimately, over the past quarter, what we have achieved is a cornerstone which provides us with pathways to market. And this is really what we're going to work on from here on.
And finally, Derek, now that you've ticked off this milestone, what's your go-to market strategy for AnteoX?
Well, thank you. Yeah, good question. We're obviously pairing up with Collaborator 8, and we see a clear market opportunity there to produce a joint product with their binder and our AnteoX together. But that doesn't preclude the notion that we can bring the product to market in our own right, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we've done, Manuel's team have done a lot of experimentation work over the years to enable us to put a package of information together of how AnteoX could be used with an off-the-shelf binder product. And battery component manufacturers armed with that information and the opportunity to buy an off-the-shelf binder, plus AnteoX can actually put it to good use in their own right. And this will have the effect of broadening the market for us. So we are going to do that initiative in parallel to working with Collaborator 8 and others in bringing products to market with them. So we believe that we were going to get a very broad market approach from this strategy. And again, that will further the opportunity for us to make revenues in the short term.
Fantastic. Great to have you guys on to chat through the latest, and all the best in the future developments.